Shalom, shalom, Israel's brothers, Yalla. Coming back at you with another cold cut. Like to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Somebody day today, Lord will. We stay in the spirit, keep these commandments, abstain from the flesh to the best of our ability, even though if we are dealing with certain demons. Our last video was going into, certain women that we don't want to be like wicked women, and men, not giving their strength unto these type of women. But of course, you already know there's never a false balance with the Lord. You have righteous women. I'm going to Proverbs 11:1. Look at Proverbs chapter 11 and verse number 1. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. So a just weight is the Lord's delight. So this the way you have certain women that men shouldn't give themselves over unto. You have men that should give themselves over to a certain type of woman, right? A woman that has prudence, discretion, wise, has wisdom, right? Having a righteous wife is a tower against her husband. I'm going to the book of Sirach chapter 43. All right. Actually, Sirach chapter 40. Let me see what I want. Actually, I'm just going to get the book of Song of Solomon, Sirach. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 25, 26. And I'm going to start at verse 1. Blessed is the man that hath a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be double. So if a man does find a virtuous wife, the Lord said that she can increase his days upon the earth, right? A virtuous woman rejoiceth her husband, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace. So if a man does find that type of wife, right, of course, honor and wisdom, he has discretion and finds a woman after his own mind and after his own liking. And then guess what? He should fulfill the rest of his life in peace. She's going to be a great helpmeet unto him. She's going to help do certain things for him. She's going to be in order, submissive, right? Has mental strength, right, to raise his kids and guide the household. A woman has to have mental strength. You can't just have a weak-minded woman. She has to have mental strength, fortitude, right, to overcome adversity as well. Verse 3, a good wife is a good portion which shall be given in the portion of them that fear the Lord. So if you fear the Lord, then the Lord will give you over to a righteous woman, a woman that has discretion, prudence. Let's go to Titus chapter 2. Let's see the role of a righteous woman. All right. This is the book of Titus chapter 2 and verse 3. The aged woman likewise, that they may be in behavior as becometh holiness. So meaning behavior as being set apart. If you find a wife that's in behavior as being set apart, she's not like the rest of the women. She doesn't dress like the rest of the woman. She doesn't think or act like the rest of the woman. Right? Then guess what? It says, not false accusers, right? Not given to much wine. You have a lot of women that are false accusers. Yeah, Rel say he like me. Yeah, this brother been trying to text me. He been trying to get at me. Don't even do it. Right? That's a false accuser. Knowing you like that man. Right? But there's women, the Lord said, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things. Right? Teachers of good things. Not always just being a teacher in what you say, but being a teacher in your actions. That they may teach the young woman to be sober, yet the feast day, they're not the ones to incline their hands to a bottle. Right? They're not out there just drunk and dancing on tables, man. That's not a comely thing for a woman. But to love their husbands and to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. But yeah, you got it.
That's right. And when you read the Bible, it's a lot of women that's on fire. It's not just a man, like the brother brought out Proverbs 11 chapter. It's a just balance. It's the book of Philippians chapter 4 and verse number 3. It says, and I entreat thee also, true yokefellow, help those women which labor with me in the gospel, which Clement also, and with other of my fellow laborers, whose names are in the book of life. So you have women that actually labor with Paul in the Gospels. It's like in the Gospels. When you read the epistles, you had women that labor with Paul. Now their office isn't the same as a man, they wouldn't be apostles or evangelists, etc., but they do have their own office. You read in Acts the 9th chapter, right? You read about Tabitha. Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 9 and verse 36. Right? But nevertheless, you do have women whose names aren't written of in the book of life. Why? Because you have women that's on fire doing the work of the Lord. It's the book of Acts chapter 9 and verse number 36. It says, now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and alms deeds. So you have Tabitha, right, who was a disciple, right? She believed in the Lord. She did the work. It says she was full of good works and alms deeds. So again, each person has a different office that they can fulfill within the body of the Lord. Like how you read about it in 1 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. Right? Everybody has something that they can do to magnify the name of the Lord. Her specifically was giving alms. Right? She was big in giving alms. Verse 37, it says, and it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died. And when they had washed, they laid her upon the chamber. Right? She gave up the ghost. Verse 38. And for as much as Lydia was nigh to Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. It says, then Peter arose and went with them. When he was come, they brought him to the upper chamber, and all the widows stood by, weeping and showing the coats and garments which Dorcas made while she was with them. So this woman, she made coats and garments for the disciples, for the apostles. And again, that's a mighty work. You got women that's putting in work, making garments, coats, right, giving alms. So Dorcas was on fire. And again, you have a lot of roles for the women. Let's go to the classic Proverbs 31 and verse number 10. All right, Proverbs 31 and verse number 10. Right, it's plenty of things. And again, you got certain women, they think that just cause you in this truth, you can only cook and clean. That's it. Cook and clean, keep the house clean, and that's it. They're a Proverbs 31 woman. Well, it's a lot more than just being a Proverbs 31 woman and cooking and cleaning. It's the book of Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 10. It says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is above rubies. It says, the heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. It says, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Right, verse 13, it says, she seeketh the wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. So again, everybody know, you read Proverbs 31 verse 10 on down, you read about the attributes of a so-called Proverbs 31 woman, or a woman that's compared to as a ruby. And every woman should strive to be like a Proverbs 31 woman. Strive to be like Esther, Judith, Sarah. Right? Let's go to this is the last one. Let's go to Sirach 7 and 19. All right, let's go to Sirach chapter 7 and verse number 19. And it reads, Sirach 7 and 19. It says, farrago not a wise and good woman, for her grace is above gold. So a good woman, her grace is above gold, man. And again, every man should be striving to be pure than fine gold. Same thing with the woman, right? Striving to be better than that fine gold, right, in the eyes of the Lord. Right, you got it.
Right, that's exactly. All right, this is Sirach chapter 40 and verse 19. What the Lord say, children in the building of a city continue a man's name, right? So children, of course, you having children, they'll continue your legacy on the earth. A city, if a city is named after you, everybody will always know that. Everybody's going to call on your name, because everybody's going to know that city. It's always going to continue your name. But what can children in the building of a city continue a man's name? But a blameless wife is accounted above them both. Just having a blameless wife, the Lord said, is better than having a name, a city named after you. It's better than having righteous children that's going to continue your name forever. You having a blameless wife, man. It's very hard to find a blameless wife. All right, it's very hard to find that woman that's just not going to tarnish your name out here, man. Right? And you have women in the scriptures that actually fulfill these roles. Verse 23, a friend and companion never meet amiss. You know how you are with your friend, with your homeboy. right? Y'all always kicking it, right? Even a companion, but what? But above both is a wife with her husband, man. Hey, that's the Lord said above a friend and a companion is a wife with her husband. The Lord delights to see marriage, man. Let me go to Sirach chapter 25. The Lord delights in that thing. All right. It's Sirach chapter 25 and verse 1. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful, both before Yahweh and men, the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together. So the Lord delights in a man and a woman that agree together, right? The Lord wants to see that, right? The Lord wants to see one mind and one body in the household. What does that look like, right? One mind and one body in the household, right? Meaning they're all on one accord. There's no schisms. There's no confusion. Everything's going according to schedule. The children know what's going on. Even the dog know what's going on. Everybody know what's going on, right? The dog know when to come inside. The children know when to do the homework. You don't have to, there's no arguments, no yelling. It's just peace, man, right? It's 1 Corinthians chapter 16 and verse 15. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, you know how the house of Stephanus, that it is the first fruits of Achaeus, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints, right? Not just Stephanus just didn't addict themselves to the ministry of the saints. It says the house of Stephanus, meaning him and his wife and his children. They all was addicted to doing the work of the Lord. The wife was addicted. She's probably addicted to doing sewing, right? And then, always helping out the brothers, reading, the children as well. Everything was in order. Their whole house was addicted to the word of the Lord. Brother, you can't just be addicted to the words of the Lord. Your woman has to too. You got to teach your woman the fear of the Lord. All of you guys have to be always on one accord. All right, let me go to Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. All right, it's the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, and verse number 4. And it says, marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. So in marriage, the bed is undefiled, right? The Lord said that's one of the most honorable things is to lay down and marry a woman, right? And vice versa. But whoremongers and adulterers will the Most High judge. The Most High will judge. So the Lord's not dealing with all that other madness. He's only dealing with marriage and those things that are honorable. And what is honorable is having a righteous woman on that side that you want to give yourself unto. Let me go to the book of Judith. All right, this is the book of Judith, chapter 8, and verse number 6. And she fasted all the days of her widowhood, save the eves of the Sabbath, and the Sabbaths, and the eves of the new moons, and the new moons, and the feasts and solemn days in the house of Israel. She also was of a goodly countenance and very beautiful to behold. So this is talking about Judith. She fasted all the time, right? Kept the feast days and the solemnity. What else? She was very beautiful and of a goodly countenance, man. Meaning she had great energy. She looked beautiful, right? She wasn't always looking down, right? That's what it means when she has goodly countenance, meaning, hey, her body language was always up. She had joy in the Lord, man. A lot of women don't have joy in the Lord. She had joy in the Lord and was beautiful to behold. And her husband Manasseh had left her gold and silver and men servants and maid servants and cattle and lands, and she remained upon them. What does it mean she remained upon them? Meaning she just didn't splurge all of it. She just didn't sell it to a man. A man tried to just finesse her, and she just gave it away like a simple Eve. Like an Eve at a mechanic. Don't know what's going on. Paying for air in her tires. Talking about $200 premium air. Don't know what's going on, man. She knew business. Right? But guess what? She remained upon them. Now, you gotta understand something. This is a very beautiful woman, and her husband is dead. Her husband's passed away, meaning she's allowed to remarry another man. How many, and I always bring this out, how many men was after Judith? She was by herself with all types of wealth. Today, she would have been a millionaire by herself, right? And very beautiful, and had fear of the Lord. I mean, how many men did she have to say no to? Right? And it says, and there was none that gave her an ill word, for she feared the Most High greatly. Now, a lot of women will say, well, I know a lot of women that are rich today, right? They have they don't have a man. Well, hold on. They have ill words against them. She never had an ill word. No, she wasn't in no press. She was nobody in anybody's mouth. She wasn't at the club. She wasn't out on the Thursday, at the new moon and it's 12 a.m. and she by herself dancing with other men. She wasn't doing that, right? So guess what? Just by who she was, I can tell who her husband was, man. I know how great of a man her husband was just by her being a great reflection of her husband. And that's what a woman should strive to want, is to magnify her husband's names through her actions, as like we magnify the Lord's name through our actions. Same exact thing. All right, but you got it.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 26, and verse number 6. It says, "Now when Yahushua was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat." Right, so you had Mary that came to the Lord before he was ready to get crucified, crucified, etc. She came up to him and poured the oils on him. Right, it says, verse 8. It says, "And when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, To what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor." Right, so as she's pouring the oils on the Lord, rubbing them down with the oils, the disciples trying to get on her. Say, well, hold on, why you got all these oils? You just wasting them. We read the book of John. Secretly, it was Judas. He wanted to sell it, right? Judas's mindset was all bad, but nevertheless, you had Mary. She had pure intentions of anointing the Lord before his burial. Right, reading on, it says, verse 10. It says, "When Yahushua understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble you the woman? For she hath wrought good work upon me. For ye have the Lord always with you, but me you have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the world, there shall also this woman, that this woman have done, shall be told for a memorial of her." So the Lord said, wherever this gospel is being preached, remember this woman. Remember the act that she did of anointing me before my burial. And that's heaven. We got the Lord saying, hey, remember this one woman right here. Right? And again, you had Mary. Mary was on fire. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 27, and verse number 55. Right? Matthew 27 and verse 55. It says, "And many women were there, beholding afar off, which followed Yahushua from Galilee, ministering unto him." So you had a lot of women that, again, it wasn't just men that was disciples. You had a lot of women that followed the Lord, right, wherever he went. Let me read that again, verse 55. It says, "And many women were there, beholding afar off, which followed Yahushua from Galilee, ministering unto him." It says, verse 56, "Among which Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the other of Zebedee's children, which were even come. There came a rich man." Let me read that again. Verse 57. It says, "When there came a rich man of Arthanima named Joseph, who also was Yahushua's disciple." Right? So you had certain women that followed the Lord wherever he went. No matter if he was going from Galilee to Jerusalem or A, B, and C, you had the women that followed the Lord too. All right, let's get this in the book of Romans, the 16th chapter. All right, this Romans chapter 16 and verse 1. It says, "I commend you, Phoebe, our sister, which is a servant of the church, which is at Centuria." And you have Phoebe. Right, Phoebe is another mighty woman that you read about. You read in Romans, the 16th chapter, how how you have Paul shouting out a lot of people. Right, the first person that he called out was a sister. Right, Phoebe. It said what? It says, "Phoebe, our sister, which is a servant of the church at Centuria." So Phoebe was a mighty servant at the church. Jumping down to verse 3, it says, "Greet Priscilla and Aquila, my helpers, and Hamashiach Yahushua." You had this man and his wife, they were on fire together, like the brother was saying. You wanna make sure that your wife is on fire with you. It can't just be you're the only one that's on fire throughout the house and everybody's slaughtered. And though it said Paul tried to out this man and his wife. Why? Because both of them were fervent in the spirit and on fire for the Lord. So you have account after account of the Lord shouting, and you get a lot of people saying, well, this truth is a cult, right? They hate women, right? They damn women bashers. Well, hold on, the Lord gets down with the women in the Bible. right? A righteous woman. Let's get this in the book. We have on 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 6. Right? 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse number 6. It says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are. Right? And women have to remember that they're the daughters of Sarah. When you go into that word Sarah right here in the Greek, it literally says princess. Right? So the Lord is calling the daughters of Sarah princesses. Right? The daughters of Zion princesses. And again, you have to move and conduct yourself as so. Like how Esther did. Right? Like how Judith did. Let's get this real quick in the book of Esther. Chapter 3. Right, real quick. Let's get this in the book of Esther. It's the book of Esther, chapter 3, and verse chapter 4. Right, it's the book of Esther, chapter 4, and verse number 16. It says, go rather together, all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, neither eat nor drink 3 days nor night. It's like 3 days, day, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise. And so will I go unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Esther was going before the king, and her mindset was, hey, if I die, I die. Why? Because Esther, she loved the people. Esther didn't have it. There's no account of before she went to the king, her having a head. Esther had to be married to a heathen, right? And as she was married to a heathen, her heart was still towards her people. Right, so as a woman, you want to make sure your heart is towards your husband, that your heart is towards the Lord, that you're fervent, right, moving in the spirit of Sarah and our righteous foremothers, right, moving in the spirit of Phoebe, and all the rest of the women, Mary, right, and all the rest of the righteous women that you read of. All right, you got it.
That's exactly right. I mean, you gotta think about it. All right, let me go to the book of Genesis chapter 24. All right, it's Genesis 24 and verse 16. And it says, and the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, talking about Rebecca, neither had any man known her, and she went down to the well, filled her pitcher, and came up. Let's see how on fire this woman was, man. Right, and it says, and the servant ran to meet her and said, let me, I pray thee, drink a little water thy pitcher. And she said, drink, my lord. And she hasted. It didn't say she took her time. She said, drink, my lord, and hasted. She was on fire, man. Right? She had agility. She hasted. All right, and it says, and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink and said, I will draw water for thy camels also until they have done drinking. So she didn't just do it for him. She did it for his camels too. She went above and beyond. She went to the next step. Nobody had to ask her. He didn't have to ask, can you do my camels too? No, she said, oh, hey, I'm going to also do your camels too. And she hasted. Why do I keep saying she hasted? What does it mean to haste? All right, let's look up that word haste, right? To haste definition. Because she's making haste, man. A lot of people don't know what that means. Excessive speed or urgency of movement or action. Hurry. She had excessive speed feeding the camels. She had excessive speed giving water to the man, right? And she did it twice. And she hasted and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for thy camels also until they have done drinking. And she hasted and emptied her pitcher in the trough and ran again into the well to draw water and drew off for all his camels. And the man, wondering at her, held his peace. It was a jaw-dropping moment. He's never seen a woman go this fast to feed him and his camels some water, man. That's why it says he wondered at her. He was like, what the? His mouth is probably on the ground. He said, what the hell is going on here? Right? He said, why my woman not like that? Right? And he said, he's wondering at her, held his peace to wit whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. And it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the woman took a golden earring, that the man took a golden earring and half a shekel weight and 2 bracelets for her hands and of 10 shekels weight of gold, and said, whose daughter art thou? He asked him, like, yo, who's your father, man? Or who taught you how to do these things in a righteous way? Right? Who is your family? Where do you come from? Because that's nothing you see. Our women you come from this line, man. You should want to be like Rebecca. You should want to be like the brother says, Sarah. She's hasting, right? Let me go to the book of Tobit real quick. Right? This is Tobit chapter 2 and verse 10. And it says, and I knew, actually, let me go to Tobit chapter 2, 1 and verse 12. Because I remembered God with all my heart, and the Most High gave me grace and favor before Enemeneser, so that I was his purveyor. So Tobit was the king's seller or trader. Let's see if his wife had a job. Right? It's Tobit chapter 2 and verse 11. And my wife Anna did take women's work to do. So Anna did women's work. She had women's work to do, man. She did things. She just wasn't laying around all day waiting for Tobit to get home from the king. Right? She had women works to do as well, man. Right? She was submissive. She was probably hasting as well. But she also had women works to do. There's a lot of women that run businesses in the truth, making garments, right? Making beads or making necklaces, headbands, whatever, man. Sewing something, right? It's not off to get to have employment in the truth or employment, right? Doing a job, as long as you're doing your womanly works as well in the house, man. All up to your husband, of course, right? But that she had women works to do. Anna did. All of our women had something to do, right? Let's see the submissiveness of this man's daughter, right? This is the book of Judges, chapter 11. All right. Right, this Judges chapter 11, verse 30. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth out of the doors of my house to meet me, and when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it for a burnt offering. So this man said, if you deliver me from the Ammonites and allow me to smote them, anything first that walks out of my doors, I'm going to deliver it for a burnt offering. Now, nonetheless, we read this account, the Lord did deliver him. Let's see what walked out his house first. Verse 34, and Jephthah came to Mizpah unto the house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances. So she was excited. Her father had won the war, and she was his only child. Beside her, he had neither son nor daughter. All right, let's jump down to verse 37. So he kind of told her, like, I got to offer you up for a burnt offering. It is what it is. Let's see what she said. And she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months that I may go up and down upon the mountains and bewail my virginity, I and my fellows. Right? And he said, go, and he sent her away for 2 months, and she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of the 2 months that she returned to her father, who did with her according to his vow, which he had vowed, and she knew no man, and it was a custom in Israel. So guess what? She was like, you know what? You made a vow unto the Lord. Keep that vow. Let me go bewail my virginity. She didn't even know any man. She didn't get mad. She didn't say, what type of man are you? Why would you do that? What type of bonehead move is that? She didn't try to run away, right? She didn't hurry up and get a man, just run away, right? She didn't do that. She honored her father because she was in her father's house. She was very submissive, man, right? Because her father had opened his mouth unto the Lord, so she paid the price, man, right? These are what our foremothers was doing, man. She wasn't bucking up, right? She did what she had to do. She fulfilled her role. She had women's works to do also, right? She got it.
This the book of Exodus, chapter 1 and verse number, I'm going to start at verse number 15. It says, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shapar, or Shafar, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill it. But if it be a daughter, then shall ye keep it alive. Right? So you had in Egypt, you had Pharaoh. He wanted to kill off all of the men children, all of the men childs, and only say the women alive. Why? Because that was a big tactic, right? That they doing to slaves, kill off the men and you say the women, right? To slowly kill off the race. So Pharaoh put out a decree for the Hebrew midwives to do this to the man-childs. Now it reads verse 17. But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men-children alive. And the king of Egypt called the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men-children alive? Right, so you had the women, they feared the Lord more than the king of Egypt. Showing you that women, hey, you got some women that's in the Bible that's more on fire than men. Right? They stood up to the king and said, no, I'm not doing that. Right? And then you got other accounts where you have men bowing their necks to other kings, right? Calling other men their sons, their servants. And you had the women standing up for the whole nation. Right? It says, verse 19, and the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered ere from midwives come in unto them. It says, therefore God dwelt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. So what happened? You had Israel waxed very mighty because of the Hebrew midwives, right? Not because we was the mightiest and we was gonna overtake them. No, the women caused us to be mighty. Why? Because they saved us alive. And when you keep reading through that work, you have Moses come about. So if it wasn't for the women, Moses wouldn't even have did what he did. If it wasn't for the women. Now let's go to the book of History, Susanna, right? Because you have Susanna. Right, this history is Susanna, chapter 1 and 1. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chilikias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord greatly. So you have Susanna, she feared the Lord greatly, on fire, right, fervent. And again, every woman should strive to be like the righteous foremothers, right, serving their husbands. If you don't have a husband, serving the Lord. Doing everything you can do to magnify and glorify the name of the Lord. Again, we read in Philippians, the 4th chapter, that you have women whose names are written in the book of life. As a woman, you should be striving to have your name written in that book by doing everything you can to serve the Most High. Right? It reads, verse 3, her parents also were righteous and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Right, let's go to the book of Luke. All right, let's go to the book of Luke. Chapter, let me see what I'm on real quick. It's the book of Luke. We're going to chapter 3. It's like in chapter 1. It's the book of Luke, chapter 1, and verse number 5. It says, there was in the days of Herod, king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abiah, and his wife, the daughter of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless. So again, you have this man and his wife, right? The mother and father of John the Baptist, they were both on fire, walking blamelessly, right? Perfect. All right, what you got it?
Come on. All right, I'm gonna get this last precept. It's the book of 1 Peter, chapter 3, and verse 2. And it says, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning or plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold and of putting on apparel. So don't let it be the braiding of the hair, right? The outward adorn, right? The jewelry and the clothing that makes you a woman of God. Because it's easy to feign yourself when you look good. And, you know, a lot of women take pride in looking good, right? And that's not bad. But don't let that be what you think makes you righteous. Verse 4, but let it be the hidden man of the heart in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit. So have a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of the Most High of great price. And the Most High thinks that's a great price. The Most High highly esteems you having a meek and quiet and ornament spirit, right? The Lord don't really care about how well you dress, right, for your husband. Look, if you a righteous woman in here, the Most High will honor that thing, man. You know, so take that, learn that. Lord willing, you are edified. We like to give our praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, and focus on the hidden man, and then let the outward man kind of show what your spirit has, man. Right? That was close, precept.
I got the last precept. It's Proverbs 31 and 30. It says, favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth Yahweh, she shall be praised. Give her of her fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. So you want to let your works praise you in the gates, serving the Most High, serve your husband in righteousness.
Mighty, Lord willing, like I said, you guys were edified. right? This is a part 2 of that last video that we did. I'd like to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahshua and be the mighty strong. Shalom.
Shalom.